just want to begin briefly by mentioning a service that is available for those who may need some support or guidance on their own spiritual journey or practice. Something I've mentioned in one of the earlier episodes, and I thought it'd be a nice reminder if there are any new listeners. It's a service that is run by my brother Matab, and he recently went through a stage of rewording the title of the service. There's a deep longing and sense within him to help others in a time of difficulty, and there's been many hours spent trying to find the words to describe the presence, to reach those people who may be in suffering, who may not even be aware of the space of presence. And it's one of those things, as I talk about myself in this space, that no words can really be it. They can't really come close. At most, they can point to where this spacious presence is. So, the name of the service is called Alternative Counselling, which I liked quite a bit. I thought it was, for those especially not on the path, it gave a sense of understanding that the sessions offered would take place in a therapeutic setting on a one-to-one basis. And beneath that it is titled also Healing and Self-Discovery. This is the essence of what is being offered there for those who are looking for their own healing and self-discovery, the true self, the non-dual self. And the website is the same as I've mentioned before. It's compassionate listening sharing. It's 3 words together, .co.uk, and I'll put the link in the description below. And I'm sure it's okay for me to say this on behalf of him. Of course, for the sessions offered, there'll be an exchange of energy, put it that way. So, for example, he can also be supported while offering the service, but for those perhaps in financial difficulty who may not be able to afford a session fully, then I encourage you to get in touch with him, and perhaps something can be worked out. If there's something where you can't afford the price that is offered on the website, then perhaps, I'm sure there's room for compromise for those who really need some help and support on their path, and who may not be in a position to afford a session at this time. And on the website, I won't tell you the story, but there's a brief account of just about him and what is being offered as well. And I'm sure he won't say this himself, but they've been written from a very deep sense, a very deep, loving sense of wanting to help and reach those who need it. And I don't interview people on this podcast. It's purely more of a sense of the journey that I am undertaking with presence, and of course anything that can be a help to others is a great sense of purpose and gratitude there as well, that comes as a byproduct of me sharing what I'm struggling with, or my own discoveries or sense of what helps me. So there may be a one-off if I can what's the right word, tempt him to do an interview or such, or a discussion. I can understand sometimes that may reach you if you're on that sense of perhaps needing some guidance or support and not knowing where to go. And it's a very personal and very intimate sense, any sort of therapy or help in that way. And so perhaps by having him speak, it may break the ice of before deciding whether that's something that will be useful for you. So I just wanted to mention that at the start. I had the intention to mention it previously, but I got carried away with the sharing. So I thought it just popped into my mind now to signpost anybody who is looking for that. It's not as I've said before, it's not a sales pitch. Buy one get one free. No, it's if that is needed for oneself, then it is available. It's as simple as that. It's there, and I'm sure it will reach those who will need it, and his energy will connect with or resonate through the words he's got on his website to those who need that sort of energy. I find any though he won't call himself a teacher, but anybody in that capacity, the right energy will find the right person that needs it. Just like for myself, I could probably say Eckhart is the main energy source that resonates with me. It's the main, if I listen to various teachers, but if I was to pick one that resonates directly, it would be Eckhart's teachings. And so, yeah, I do invite you to click onto the website. I feel very old now. I don't know what the lingo is for, but I'll leave that with you. And if it feels right, and I would mention it further as well. Of course, I'm biased. Of course, because in one sense he's my brother, and a sense of wanting to help, and also, but there's also a deeper sense then, and a deeper knowing that it's all part of the oneness there of me. Perhaps if someone was to hear the words from me and they were to get in touch and book, it's not really me is the doing there. It's all the oneness. Although the person may say, "Oh, I heard about your service from this source," but it's all fairly unimportant. But however the message comes, and he may at some point create some videos on YouTube, so if that happens, I'll also give you a heads up, so it may just be some extra help and support through that medium as well as listening here. So finding ease in difficulty, that was the that was what was coming up for me in the last few days, those words. There is great difficulty each and every day, and I don't mean that in a heavy sense, like a big catastrophe, big drama, but maybe the small difficulties, perhaps a bad night's sleep, or perhaps not getting the response you want from a loved one, or a slight finds with any sort of relationship. There can be very small ups and downs of, oh, did I annoy that person, or oh, I wrote them such a long affectionate message and I barely got a response from them, and I feel a bit rejected from that, or my car didn't start this morning. The stress and difficulty in that. And the words rung out to me there to say that why can't there be ease in the time or the space, the experience of, I put in quotes, difficulty, so-called difficulty. And it's more of an invitation, it's not a challenge. Because I can imagine a mind rolling its sleeves up, elbowing people aside and saying, okay, bring on the difficulties, I'm ready. No, it's a gentleness to it. It's almost a curiosity in the space of that storm, emotional storm. Just taking a few seconds of time out and looking up and thinking, asking the question, can there be some ease in this moment? Is it available? Is it possible? And you may be surprised with the answer. There's no guarantees. There may be, you may find, no, it's not possible now. There's only a huge heaviness of the water flow of crashing thoughts and exploding emotions going on. That's all, okay, that's all there is. So then you can allow that and accept that, and maybe there'll be a glimmer of gentleness, of ease, that you may not even call it ease. It might be so subtle it doesn't have a name, but it's there. Just by you recognizing what there is in this moment. Okay, there's crashing thoughts, there's these deep welling emotions arising. Maybe there are old emotions played out so many times, old thoughts that you're in that cycle again. And just recognizing that. Or in that question of can there be ease, there may be a smile may arise, a smile of why am I smiling? But the smile may be a byproduct of a sense of ease coming in. And the mind, if you were to consult the mind briefly, in that the mind will be completely confused. It would be like, I don't understand what's happening here, but your deeper self is coming into the mind activity, the body activity, thoughts and emotions, and then there's a slight break in the curtains to allow in a tiny bit of light, a very small anchor. It may be like a thread going through it. It may not give instant relief, but it may give a reassurance that this will pass. It's passing now even. It may feel slow. And so there's the invitation of that question arising. In the space of difficulty, can I invite or allow in some ease? And it's I use the word allow because it's not by force or will. It's not a doing. It's a incredible, it's beyond subtlety when you allow it to happen. It's almost an inner shift of energy which is done I don't know if precise is the right word, but it's a very the word's not coming to me, but it's a very delicate process. It's a very, just like a small feather that's going through the air, and you're almost drawing it into your hand. It can't be done with force because the air would push it away, but it's a sense of you're attracting and allowing it to come into your palm of your hand. Or if there is any such movements that encourages it, it's done in such a delicate way. It can only be done with a loving awareness. It can't be done with the mind snatching and shaping something, breaking open a little bit of light to come in. It's the opposite of that. Not even the opposite, it's a different dimension. And you're not aiming for anything here when this happens. There's no expectation of a beautiful, gentle wave washes over you and dissolves, and you are in ecstasy now. The difficulty's immediately gone, and you are no. But perhaps it becomes bearable. The smile is that there's space for this difficulty to be there now. It's no longer pressing up against your energies or digging into you in that same way. Now it may still be unpleasant, challenging, but now the awareness is now, the space is supporting, almost cradling the difficulty. And there's a slight spaciousness there now. I'm picturing one scenario, say if it was a difficult person, several feet away, perhaps they're yelling at you or telling you off or provoking, but now there's more of a gap there between you and them, as if they're now in another room. Perhaps a transparent glass is there, and they're still facing you yelling, but there's now a buffer between that. There's a spaciousness around. And I'm using this example just as it's a physical illustration, but of course within ourselves it's an energetic space. It's a space that can't be described, can only be experienced, can only be felt. So it's not a challenge, but it's perhaps a curious invitation, and it's knowing what is possible. And the gentleness is a natural quality of the alert attention, the presence that you bring to the difficulty, to the mind activity, to the emotional storm. You cannot bring the presence without the gentleness. They are one in that sense. And the gentleness, the invitation may arise with just a deep breath in that moment, allowing your shoulders to relax. It may be very subtle. Maybe at your desk and you've got 101 things to do, and you may just for a few seconds just, okay, just a moment of calm, a moment of letting go, and then see what happens next. Okay, all of those things in the space of presence. There may be a gentleness. Okay, what's the first thing I need to do here? Forget about the other 99 things. What's the first thing that I can bring that gentleness to, bring that awareness to? It needs to be done anyway, so why not do it in a sense of stillness? Does my body need to be tense in this moment? Does my voice need to be angrily shouting in this moment? Do I need to perpetuate the anxiety that's going on in this moment with adding more to it, adding more emotions to my body? Is that needed for taking action, for it's almost as if you're going to go that direction anyway. This is paraphrasing Ram Dass, who was talking about the book, I think it's called The Book of Emmanuel, and the paraphrasing is, you're going that way anyway, why carry the extra luggage with you? The luggage of worry, or mind activity, anger. So just something to, maybe an invitation there for myself as well. That's where it arose within me, where difficult situation, and it was perhaps afterwards that continued to arise, those words. Can I invite a sense of ease into this difficulty, gentleness into this moment? I'll leave you with that. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I wish you well, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Take care.